Blame Game is one of the most powerful poems in the collection. I say that with a lot of the poems, but I'm not lying. Some of the poems in this collection are very powerful, and Blame Game is one of them. Blame Game is talking about how there are certain things that happen in society in which a victim is shamed or blamed for what has happened, even though they shouldn't be. And in these particular situations, there's always a victim and there's always a perpetrator. And people try to understand why the perpetrator acts the way that they do, but that's very hard to do, and you really can't understand it because each perpetrator of whatever crime or whatever situation it is different. And usually it's the victim that speaks out more than the actual perpetrator. And because the victim speaks out, or because no one can understand the perpetrator, it's easy to blame the victim and go, well, how are you culpable? What could you have done to prevent this? What changes can you make? And I think that's appalling. I don't think they should be the ones to make the changes. You know, in any situation, if anyone is a victim, they shouldn't be blamed. They shouldn't be the ones being told to change their behaviour or change the way that they act. You know, it's not their fault. And I think that's absolutely appalling. And there's certain things in society that happen where this is the case, but in the poem I talk mainly about bullying and rape because those are the two most prominent aspects of society or things that happen in society where a victim is blamed. Like with bullying, it's all about telling the victim to either make a report or speak out loud or have their say, or that the victim is told to leave or to walk away, whether it's a workplace bullying, whether it's a school bullying. They're the ones constantly told to walk away and change, and they shouldn't. They shouldn't be the ones doing something. It should be the bully that's doing that. With rape, that's probably the more stronger example, because rape is, to say it's horrible is a real understatement. But with rape, what's really appalling is that in cross-examination in court, a woman was criticised or scrutinised about what she was wearing, how she looked, whether she said no, whether she fought back, all sorts of things. And there was an article I read recently that the rapist should be blamed for rape, obviously. Like, this should be obvious, but it really isn't. The victim is still shamed and still blamed. And again, even if the perpetrator is caught and they go to court and he's sent to jail, there's always that element of victim blaming, and that shouldn't happen because rape is traumatic, you know. And then they go through another trauma of trial, to have their day of court, to have the rapist put in jail. Like, the rapists should be the ones that are blamed, and they should be the ones, they shouldn't be behaving this way. Unfortunately they do. And again, because it's easy to blame the victim than understand the perp, and that's what I got out of that particular article I read, which inspired this poem. And this poem is talking about how, it is obviously talking about how, whether it's bullying, rape, or another situation, victims should be supported more. And this view in society should change, because you're just traumatising victims further by blaming them. And that's what I'm talking about in this poem. And it is something I'm really passionate about, hence the passion when I'm talking about it now, and hence the passion in the poem.